So I keep getting new equipment to set this up, and then every day there's just something slightly different. I just got a brand new tripod for my camera, or for my phone, but I don't know why the phone is now sideways, but it doesn't matter. We'll do the yoga. So if you have your pillow or your blanket, come on up to sit so that you're comfortable, but not too comfortable. So it's really best to start your meditation seated. I think it's too tempting to just sort of drift off and fall asleep if you're lying down. So we will start seated. I call this a gentle version of my land and heart practice. And the whole intention of the land and heart practice is to feel a deep connection to the land that you occupy. So I think we're all in Yellowknife, but because it's online, you could be anywhere. So wherever it is, just close your eyes to start, and then picture some outdoor element that you've already experienced this morning. Birds chirping, or the rain, or I don't know, the light perhaps. And just hold that image in your mind's eye. So meditation is a single pointed focus on something, and sometimes it's on your breath or a mantra, and in this case it's on this image from the natural world that you have seen this morning or heard. So focus on that image for a little bit longer. Whatever it is, it's very personal, whatever you saw or felt this morning. And then we'll start to move a little bit. So hands reach up overhead as you breathe in, and hands come down as you breathe out. Do that 3 or 4 times. Just taking a big stretch, turning it into a back bend if you need to, looking up. And then tucking your chin to your chest, exhaling down. So yoga feels really good, and we come back to it again and again because of the movement. It feels good to stretch and move and get the blood flowing. But really it's about situating yourself in your current circumstances and using that meditation of something from the natural world that you saw this morning is a handy little tool to be present, to pay attention to what's right in front of you right now. Bring your left hand down to the mat. Reach your right hand up and over your ear. Take a big stretch. And then come the other way. And just come back and forth a few times. So we started with the back bends, and then we move into these side bends. Do one more on each side. And then we're going to hold one side for 3 breaths. So right fingertips pressing into the mat. Bring your left hand behind your head and look straight up at the sky. Take 3 deep breaths here. And then other side. So I'm sitting on my knees like this because I find it a little more comfortable for my low back, but you could also be doing this cross-legged. And then come up to a tall seat, however you're seated, interlace your fingers, press your palms forward and up to the sky, look up. And then hands come down in front of you, and then just walk your hands forward. Come into a forward fold, tuck your chin into your chest. Take 3 breaths here. And then walk your fingertips back behind you and lift up into a back bend. Take 3 breaths here, looking straight up, chin and gaze lifting to the sky. And then come to sit still. However your knees are, crossed or folded. And you recruit all of these little muscles around your core to sit up tall and to feel supported. So we do sit a lot in the day, and it's really just practice to be able to sit comfortably and recruit your core strength. Resist the temptation to slouch when you're seated. And now breathe really deeply. So expand your belly, your ribs, and your chest. And then exhale. And keep going. Do 2 more. Belly, ribs, chest puffs up. And then as you exhale, chest, your ribs knit together and your belly contracts. You tuck your tummy in. 1 more breath in. Belly, ribs, chest, expanding. And then contract, exhale. Good. Come onto your hands and knees. Spread your fingers really wide and imagine that you're palming a basketball. So even if you've never done that, you still can imagine the circumference of a basketball, and you're pressing down with your fingertips, really engaging all that how much power it would take in your hands to palm a basketball. Keep that contact with the mat. So it's this strong engagement with your hands, and press the mat away from you. So your chest kind of lifts away from the mat, and then tuck your tailbone under and bring your chin to your chest. Keep the contact between your hands and the mat, and then lift your tailbone, turn your gaze up. Let your belly drop to the mat. So you're moving through these back bends, but the only thing you're thinking about is this contact between your hands and the mat. Do about 5 of those. So lots of the power and the alignment and the foundation of the practice comes from recruiting all kinds of little muscles that you might not normally think about. So in this case, it's all these little muscles in your hands stabilizing your upper body. The yogis call them bandhas. So they're like energetic locks to keep every movement elegant and graceful and powerful. Keep that pressure with your hands. And then come to a flat back. Extend your right foot back behind you. Keep the right hand pressing into the mat, but reach the left hand forward, but keep your fingertips really active. Hold here for 3 breaths, stretch. And then hands and knee down, do the other side. Start with the leg and then reach the right hand forward. Hands and knees down. Tuck your toes, press back, downward facing dog. You'll probably move your hands about 1 hand length further ahead of where they were. Palming the imaginary basketball. And now looking at your feet, create that same pressure with your feet. So even if your heels don't touch down, you're really energetically pressing them towards the mat. So just balancing on your hands and feet. 2 more breaths, equal pressure between those 4 points of contact. Walk your hands to the back of the mat to meet your feet. Bend your knees so that you can keep your hands in contact with the mat. Press down, 4 points of contact with the mat, equal pressure. Knees are bent, look up slightly, breathe in. And then exhale and fold forward, chin to chest. Do that 3 times, look up and lengthen. Exhale and fold. 1 more time. Exhale and fold. This time you're going to stand all the way up. Feet are pressing down. Hands are reaching up, but your fingers are still active and engaged. Press your palms together overhead. Hands come down in front of your heart center. Palms together, feet pressing into the mat. 1 breath in here. And out. Visualize that image from the natural world from this morning, your meditative focus for this practice. And then reach your hands up. We'll come through a couple of sun salutations. Look up. Exhale, fold, hands to the mat. Look up and lengthen, breathe in. Walk your hands forward, come onto your knees. Look up, so into a back bend, tailbone lifts, gaze up. And then lower your chin and chest to the mat. So it's a modified chaturanga, just chin and chest down, knees are down. Belly down now into low cobra. Hands are right underneath your shoulders, point your toes. Press back onto your knees and then straighten back to down dog. So it's a modified sun salutation, but it's the same concept. It's this whole range of motion for your spine. Walk your hands back to your feet at the back of the mat. Palms down, feet down, halfway lift, lengthen, look up. Fold forward. We'll do that 3 times again. Halfway lift, look up. Exhale, fold. 1 more. Exhale, fold. This time stand all the way up. Reach up, look up, palms together. Hands in front of your heart. Bring that meditative image to your mind. A couple more sun salutations like this. Reach up, inhale, look up. Hands to the mat, exhale. Look up, lengthen. Walk your hands forward. Come onto all 4s. Tailbone and gaze lifts. Lower chin and chest to the mat. Exhale. Stretch out, belly down. Point your toes, look up, cobra. Press back, hands and knees, and then straighten into downward facing dog. Look at your feet. Press equally into all 4 points of contact with the mat. Walk your hands back to the back of the mat. Hands and feet in contact with the mat, forward fold. Look up and lengthen. Chin to chest, fold. Do that twice more, look up. Fold. 1 more. Exhale, fold. Stand up. Press down into your feet to reach up to the sky. Hands at heart center. Pause here. So really, there's all these different techniques in your yoga practice to hold your attention on the present moment, whether it's movement or breath or a meditative image. We'll do one more round through that modified sun salutation. I'll adjust my microphone. Reach your hands up, inhale. Hands to the mat, exhale. Look up, inhale. Walk your hands forward, bring your knees down. Look up, breath in, tailbone lifts. As you exhale, your chin and chest come down. Cobra pose, belly down, toes point. Lift back up onto all fours, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. 3 deep breaths. Walk your hands to meet your feet at the back of the mat. 3 times, halfway lift, breathe in, fold forward.
Tell them what I thought they wanted to hear. This is Mr. O'Sullivan intends to
Look up. Exhale, fold.
Dear God, what?
Halfway lift. I'll just get, I think, stay in the forward fold. I think Carson, maybe, or Lynn. Hi, Lynn, welcome. I'll just get you to mute your microphone, but you're welcome to. I'm so glad you're here to join us. Yeah, thank you, perfect. Come all the way up to standing. Inhale, reach up. Hands together at your heart center, and then just walk to the top of the mat. We'll come through a full sun salutation, follow along, same concept, just a little bit more challenging. Reach your hands up to the sky. Hands down to the mat, exhale. Look up, inhale. Step your feet back to plank. Balancing on your feet and your hands, and then lower your knees, chin, and chest to the mat. Low cobra, belly down, look up into the back bend. Press onto your knees, and then straighten downward facing dog, exhale. From here, lift your right leg, point your toes. So only 3 points of contact with the mat, but that lifted right leg is still really strong and active. Make some circles with your ankle on your right foot. Take one more breath in here, and then step your right foot in between your hands. If it doesn't quite get there, then just shuffle it up. Good. Stand up into a lunge. So hands and feet are still active, but they're not in contact with the mat as much anymore. Lots of attention still on your hands and feet. Bring your hands behind your head, press your head into your hands, elbows wide, look up, and then just bend and straighten your right knee a couple of times. Doesn't really matter how deeply you bend your knee, just getting a little bit of blood flow into that knee. And then eventually stay with your knee bent, press your head into your hands, stretching into a back bend. Look up. Bring your left hand to the mat beside your right foot. Look up at your right hand towards the sky. Bring both hands down beside your right foot. Straighten your right leg. Press down equally into that right foot. Bring your hands to your waist. So finding lots of strength on both legs, and then inhale to stand up. Look up at the sky. We're going to come to a balance. Hands are on your waist. All your weight is on your right foot. Tip forward. Lift your left leg up and off the mat. Reach your hands out to the side. So these are options you can add on, or you can keep your hands at your waist. Reach your hands forward, palms facing each other. Hands and feet very strong and active. One more breath wherever you are in this warrior 3 option. Bring your hands back to your waist. Bring your feet together at the top of the mat. Stand up. Reach your hands up to the sky. Exhale and fold forward. Hands to the mat. Look up, breathe in. Step back to plank. Lower your knees, chin, and chest. Exhale. Lift into cobra. Point your toes, look up. Lift onto all fours and then press back, downward facing dog. Step your left leg to the sky. Circles with your left ankle. Step to a lunge, left foot between your hands. Stand up, hands behind your head. 3 deep breaths here first. And then bend and straighten your left knee. Just notice how with that movement, you're coaxing a little bit more mobility into your hips, getting the blood flowing into your left knee. And then stay in the lunge with your knee bent. Bring your right hand to the mat. Look up at your left hand. Hands down on either side of your front foot. I call this pose pyramid pose. It's also called runner's stretch. You might have figured it out on the other side, but it's easier if you step your back foot a bit closer, so you shorten your stance. Stay here for a couple of breaths, just balancing on your fingertips. No need to press your palms into the mat. Bring your hands to your waist. Stand up. Come to the balance. Start with your right leg lifted. And then add on moving towards warrior 3 if you want. So full warrior 3, your fingertips are reaching forward, palms facing each other, right heel kicking back. And then hands to your waist. Stand up, feet down. Feet together, knees together, balancing on both feet. Look up towards the sky, keep your hands on your waist. And then find a neutral, strong, straight spine. Good posture. Take 3 deep breaths here. We'll come through a slightly more demanding sun salutation sequence, and then we'll come down to the mat in a few minutes. So feet are together, knees are together. Come to the top of your mat if you migrated away. Touch the mat with your fingertips, so bend your knees. Now with the mat on the mat, with your fingertips on the mat, this is hard. Knees are bent, look up. Good, either keep your hands down, or if you can, keep the bend in your knees, but reach your hands up into chair pose. It's hard, it holds your attention. Stay for 5 breaths, you can do it. Squeeze your knees together, press your weight into your heels. And then fold forward, hands to the mat. Feet are together, look up, breathe in, knees bent if you need to. Step your right foot to the back of the mat. So back in a lunge, this time fingertips are down. Look up slightly. Step your left foot back to meet your right for plank. Lower your knees, chin, and chest. Exhale. Belly down, low cobra, inhale. all fours, and then press back to down dog. Exhale. Step your right leg to the sky. And step through for warrior two. So right foot between your hands. The alignment is your right heel is lined up with the arch of your back foot. Stretch your arms out. I assume you're all with me. I can't see. Nobody has their cameras on today. That's okay. Gaze out over your right middle finger. Stay here. Turn your palms up. Straighten your right knee and reach up to the sky. Look up. Come back to warrior two. Exhale. Do that twice more. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale. And one more. Reach up, look up. Warrior two. Make it harder. Bend your right knee. Press into your feet. Fix your gaze on your right middle finger. So another element to hold your attention in your practice is your gaze. Whatever you move, whatever moves in your mind, whatever you adjust with your body, don't let your attention, your gaze wander from that outstretched right hand. Now keep your gaze on your right hand and just listen if you can. Carefully straighten your right knee. Looking at your right hand, start to stretch your right hand forward. So you're reaching out over your right foot, watching your hand, bring your hand down to your ankle, right hand down to your ankle. Still looking down at your right hand, reach your left hand up to the sky. So we're very slowly coming to triangle pose. And then turn your gaze to your left hand, looking up at the sky. Look down at your right hand. Just as you came in, come out the same way. So right hand lifts. Bend your right knee, warrior two, one more breath. And then bring both hands down to the mat beside your right foot. Step back to a plank. Lower your knees, chin, and chest as you exhale. Cobra pose, point your toes, look up. Lift onto all fours and press back, downward facing dog. Step your left leg to the sky. Come to warrior two, step through. Gazing at your left hand. Left knee is bent as deeply as you can convince yourself to bend that knee. Straighten your knee and look up, reach up. Exhale, warrior two. Just movement and breath. Doesn't really matter what you look like. Just appreciating the movement that your body's capable of right now, whoever you are, whatever you've been doing. Warrior two, gaze at your left hand. And then step by step, come to triangle. Don't move your attention from your left hand, but straighten your left leg. Start to reach to your left side. Left hand to your ankle. Watch as your hand descends. Right hand reaches up to the sky. And then look up at your right hand. Look down, look at your left hand. Bend your left knee, warrior two. Both hands down either side of your left foot. Step back to plank. Lower your knees, chin, and chest to the mat. Exhale. Belly down, low cobra, inhale. Lift onto all fours and press back, downward facing dog. Step your right foot to the top of the mat. Step your left foot to meet your right, feet together, knees together. Look up and lengthen. Fold forward, chin to chest. Finish that sequence with chair pose. Bend your knees deeply. Reach your hands up if you can. Take 5 deep breaths here. Now keep the bend in your knees, reach your hands forward, palms facing down. Lift up onto your tippy toes. Find the strength in your feet. Hold here and then slowly descend, bend your knees, coming all the way down to sit. Thumb comes down, keep your knees bent. Squeeze your knees with your hands. Lengthen your spine. Take a deep breath in here. Twist, left hand wraps around your shins, right fingertips behind you, twist over your right shoulder. Press into both feet. Press your feet into the mat. Just like when you're supporting yourself in downward facing dog, those feet are really firmly pressed down into the mat. And then wrap your right arm around your knees, left fingertips behind you. 5 breaths in a twist. Come back to center, squeeze your knees, lengthen your spine, look up. And then soles of your feet together, Baddha Konasana pose, thumbs on your arches. First of all, lengthen your spine, take a breath in. If this feels really uncomfortable for your low back, you have a blanket nearby, sit on that. Look up. Just tip slightly forward. So don't concern yourself with how deeply forward you fold. Just try to keep your spine long and straight. So it's these longer held seated poses where it gets a bit harder to hold your attention. If you need to, come back to your meditation from the beginning of the practice, whatever image from the natural world popped into your mind. Inhale to sit yourself up. Extend your left leg. Cross your right foot over top of your left knee. So right foot is pressing into the mat. Left arm wraps around your right knee. Twist over your right shoulder. Then switch sides. Just squeeze your hands around your knee first, and then switch sides. Right leg extends, left knee pointing up to the sky. Twist over your left shoulder. So yoga is about breath movement and meditation. And you can start with the breath. And then you can think about the physical sensation in this pose, the twist for your spine or the stretch for your hip or whatever it is you're feeling. And then you can bring your attention to that meditative image from the natural world from this morning. Come back to center. Just bend both knees, feet flat on the mat. Let your knees fall from side to side. We're going to do one more seated pose, but it feels nice to move a little bit in between sides. And then come to sit. So you can set yourself up in several ways. You can just sit cross-legged, and if you need to, sit on your blanket. You're just practicing that really strong engagement with the core. So practicing not slouching, no slouching. And then if you feel pretty good here, if your back feels pretty strong, you can come into fire log pose, which is a really demanding stretch for your outer hips. So left shin parallel with the edge of your mat. I'm sitting sideways on my mat, but it doesn't really matter how you're sitting. Just left shin parallel with the edge of your mat. Right ankle crosses over left knee. And it's okay if your knee is way up in the air. The only thing that really is important here is that you're not slouching through your low back. So it's quite demanding on your core strength to sit like this. So many of the yoga poses are about sitting with quite intense sensation, not pain, but certainly intensity. Sitting there with strong muscles and a steady mind. And then using the stretch and the practice to just quiet down the chatter in your mind. Practice being completely at ease in your current circumstances. And then you bring that ease with you off the mat for whatever it is you're doing in the rest of your day. If you're starting to slouch, stop it, sit up taller. Switch sides. So if you're just sitting cross-legged, just switch the cross of your legs. If you're sitting in fire log pose, left ankle on right knee, sit up tall. Breathe deeply. And then come out of the pose. And lie down on your back with your knees bent. We'll do 3 rounds of back bends. Back bends are another technique to skip the slouching. There'll be no slouching after yoga. Lift your hips up and off the mat. These yoga poses weren't made to have wireless mics on. Okay, press into your feet. Lift your hips as high as you can. And you're kind of balancing your weight on your shoulder blades. So palms are facing up to the sky. It's definitely not easy. Challenge yourself, lift your hips a bit higher, and then look straight up at the ceiling or up at the sky. Take 3 deep breaths. Lower down. Take a rest for 3 deep breaths. We'll do that twice more. On your next inhale, press into your feet. Lift your hips. Palms turn up to the sky. So your feet and your hands are still active, palming the basketball with your hands, even though your hands are pressing into the air, pressing your feet into the mat. Use that subtle engagement with your hands and feet to engage your whole body. One more deep breath in, and then lower down. Take a rest. Nothing is engaged, you're just resting. And then one more time, up you go. Deep back bend, gaze at the sky, hands and feet strong and active, attention on the pose, on the present moment. And lower down, exhale. We're going to close with an inversion and then a twist. So a little bit out of order from how I usually teach it. If you have a pillow or a blanket, I have a block. You might have one. If you don't have any blocks, we're actually lending them out from the studio. So get in touch if you need any yoga props. You can borrow what we have while you're still practicing at home. But for this supported inversion, bring whatever you have nearby, block, blanket, couch cushion, whatever you got. Slide it underneath your hips, point your toes up to the sky. And that's it. So it's like a semi-active inversion. We're going to stay here for a couple more minutes. If you're feeling pretty lethargic and you don't have the energy, you could just come over to the wall. You still have some time. Just prop your feet up against the wall. I just find inversions are so key to the end of my practice. Feels so good to reduce any swelling in my lower limbs, in my ankles, and in my knees. You can come out of the inversion now, or you could stay a while if you want to. Making our way to Shavasana, but if the inversion is feeling good, stay there. If you're still with me, knees above your hips. Stretch your arms out in a T. And we're just going to twist for a breath on each side. So knees to the left, but they hover above the mat. So final core activation before the rest. Knees come to center, and then they hover on the right. And then knees come to center. Wrap your arms around your shins, lift your forehead up to your knees, take a deep breath in. And then exhale and relax down and onto your mat. Respect your final resting pose. This is corpse pose, Shavasana. You put in all this effort to your practice, all this effort to meditate, to be present, to pay attention to your breath and your movement, and then this is where you give yourself a break. You just lie here and rest. Take a deep breath in. And then start to move your fingers and your toes. And then make your way to seated. Don't rush this exit from your deep rest though. Come up to seated when you're ready. Sitting cross-legged or on your knees. Meditate on that image from the natural world I call the practice land and heart practice because it's all about situating ourselves in our present circumstances and including some element of the natural world. It's so easy to do around here in the north. Just go outside right now after your practice and hear the birds chirping or the rain falling. Thank you, everyone, for logging in, for practicing online with us. We are opening the studio to a limited number of students to attend all of our practices. So you can look online and see our schedule. It is teacher dependent so far. So all of my classes, you're welcome to attend up to a limited number of students. And we'll also be simultaneously broadcasting all of our classes online. So you can still keep doing this if you're having a good time practicing from your house or from your office or wherever you are. It's been great teaching online in spite of the technical difficulties, which seem to meet me with every practice. I'm also teaching, so Taiga Yoga is hosting yoga teacher training. I'm leading that in July, and that's a 3-week, 200-hour program, really immersive program. It's called Land and Heart Practice. There's a lot of outdoor time, lots of meditation, lots of vigorous yoga practice, and lots of reflection on what the practice means to you, how it serves you, how you interpret it. Thank you guys so much, Lynn, Lois, Melissa, and your friend. I can't remember your partner's name, but thank you guys for joining me. Tanya, I know you're there too. And Carson, thanks for hosting this. Yeah, so 11 a.m. on Mondays is this sponsored practice from the Aboriginal Sports Circle. If anyone has any questions or comments, I have my speaker on and I can hear you.
That was my kid.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't see.
That's why he was such a distraction. I don't know. He was all over the place.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't see who that was, but I'm glad that your kid joined us. That's cute.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks, Melissa. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye. Thanks, Carson.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.